Today I'll be talking about the Samvar Tattva. So in our life we see many different circumstances and many different types of people. So for example, for students, we see that sometimes many people will study very less and they'll do really good on exams and really good on tests. And other people will study all night, all day, and they'll still not get the results. Why is this? This frustrates a lot of us. But how Jainism responds to this is that we believe that in our life, everything happens because of our past karmas and our past situations and our previous posts. So I am the reason alone for my suffering and happiness. And I got this from the pravachan attended by Girish uncle from LA. So in our life, we have a bunch of situations where they're not favorable to us, they're not favorable to our daily lives, and we always have this urge to react. Our instinct is to show that we're right. Our instinct is to prove that I can overcome this and show the whole world that. But in reality, if you stay calm, if you stay in your soul and you realize that the true happiness, the true calmness is in your soul, you will be a lot better because you're not reacting to the worldly, your worldly experiences and circumstances. So what is Samvar? So Samvar is the opposite of Ashrav. So Samvar is stopping the inflow of karma. So a humorous example that we got from Girish uncle was that in Bombay, there was a mental asylum and a visitor came in and wanted to speak to the head doctor. And he asked, how do you know when someone is cured from a mental illness or, when they're there? So the doctor asked, take them to a sink, and we take them to a sink and we put a bucket halfway filled with water and we place it under the sink. And we see how they will take the water out of the bucket. So the visitor was like, okay, why does that matter? Okay, whatever. So the doctor responded and said that majority of the people in the mental asylum will take a cup, and while the tap is still flowing, they'll just continuously keep taking the water out. But that makes no sense. When someone is cured, they'll stop the tap first and then take a cup and take out the remaining water. This is really significant because for Samvar, we can see that we want to block the root of the problem. If we don't block the root of the problem, then the problems will never stop. If we keep trying to take out the water in the bucket while more water is coming in, what's the point of taking out the rest of the water? So because of that, we should stop the inflow of karma, and then we should take out the remaining karma. So stopping Ashrav is Samvar. So we have learned the acronym in our class, MACPI and SWA. So MACPI is Mithyatva, Avariti, Kashay, Yog, and Pramad. And the opposites of that are Samyaktva, Virti, Apramad, Akashay, and Ayog. So Samyaktva is believing that you are the soul, which is who you truly are, and not the body, which is the opposite of Mithyatva. Virti is taking vows or disconnecting from the world. Apramad is making dharma your priority. A quote that Girish uncle said was that dharma is always last priority and first casualty. Every Sunday we have all these classes. Parents take their kids to classes, kids are doing homework, kids are making plans with their friends, we have to go grocery shopping, all these things on a Sunday. And Sunday is also most times where we also go to temple. But many people will make this their last priority and say, oh, we'll go to temple next week or next month or next year. And they always make that their casualty rather than putting that as first priority. Then we have Akashay, which is no kashay, which is not having passion and doing that type of stuff. And then Ayog is having control over your bodily movements such as thoughts. So why is Samvar so difficult? So this is a really nice picture because it shows how there's a huge iceberg. Most of what we know or most of what we're aware of is this tiny little portion. The rest is underwater. We don't know how we're being drived, how our actions are being driven. So we have two different types of mind, which is Dravyaman, which is conscious mind, and Bhavman, which is unconscious mind, which is motivating our current actions such as Mithyatva, Kashay, and primitive actions. So Bhavman is basically your primitive actions. So let's say you see something really bad happening, your first instinct is to yell or scream or react in some way. So doing samuday helps us disconnect. And you may be wondering, how does this help us? Because in that 48 minutes, we focus on our inner soul and our inner self. And we're not bothered by the tempting distractions of the outside world. We see our true happiness and we see who we truly are in those 48 minutes. And we realize the importance of dharam. The thing that penetrates our soul the most is unconditionally believing and giving up yourself to the Guru. A lot of times we're always focused on ourselves and we're focused that we're right. If you truly give yourself to the Guru and you truly say, you are right, I am wrong, I'm here to learn, then that is when you will rise above your primitive instincts and really learn the teachings of Bhagwan. So we already talked about this in the previous slide, which is modes of Samvar. So we talked about Karan, which is doing, Karaban, which is ordering, asking others to do, and Anumodan, which is endorsing or having a belief system that something is good to do. And so we can get Ashav in these 9 ways, which is mind, speech, action, which is Man, Vachan, Kaya. And so basically what you do is, so Man goes with Karan, Karavan, and Anumodan, speech goes with Karan, Karavan, Anumodan, and action goes with Karan, Karavan, Anumodan. So these are like the 9 ways that we are actually doing Asha, but if you don't follow what these are doing, then that's how you get Samvar. So there's a story that we discussed about in class, which was about Stulibhadraji and Kosha. And so a little summary about this is, so Stulibhadra and Shrinayak were 2 brothers, and they were basically like the next, like they were supposed to be like appointed by the king, like they were under him. And so basically what happened was Stulibhadraji fell in love with this street dancer and he was deeply in love with her. And what got him out of that was his father actually killed himself so that his other son Shrinayak would be safe. It's because the king was doubting both of them. So when Stulibhadraji heard about this, he was shocked and he fell down and was like, how could I have done this to my own family? How could I have been so deeply in lust with another woman that I didn't even see what was happening in front of me? So he went straight to Acharya Sambhudvijay, and he was the 5th successor to Lord Mahavir, and he basically was teaching him and was his guru for the next year. So after he basically graduated from his first year, him and 2 other of his classmates, you can say, were during the monsoon season. Monks are not supposed to go anywhere and they're supposed to stay in one place for those 3 months. So the 3 classmates decided that they were going to challenge themselves and show that they truly believed in the teachings of the first year. So one of them said that he would stand outside a lion's den for the whole monsoon season. The second one said he would stand at the pit of a snake home. And then Stulibhadraji decided to test his true weakness, which was Kosha. And so he decided to stay in her house and just stay there without any temptations and meditate and stay in Bhagwan's teachings for that whole time. So after those 3 months were done, they all went back to Acharya Sambhudvijay to tell them what their experience was and what their learnings were. So the first 2 who stayed outside the lion's den and who stayed at the snake pit, they said, oh, like I did fine, we did good, we stayed in the teachings of Bhagwan. And then Acharya Sambhudvijay said, Stulibhadraji, like, what about you? How was yours? Stulibhadraji stayed, even with all the temptations because Kosha wanted him back, obviously, because she loved him. So Kosha tried everything to get him to deter his path off from Mahavir Swami. But he still stayed in meditation, stayed in Bhagwan's thoughts, and got through that. So that's basically the story of Stulibhadraji. So there's 4 instincts which are called Sangya versus the ways of success, which I thought was what the true thing is. So Sangya would be Parigraha, which is hoarding, having a lot of stuff, having very materialistic values. Maithun, which is like sex, or like Ahar is hunger, and Bhay is fear. And so these are all ways you actually bind karma and you get karma. The hardest one to control out of this is Maithun, because it's so in biology we've learned how we have to reproduce. In humans, that's our physical tendency because we want the human race to survive. But when I was thinking about this, I realized that that's just because we are so used to that, because we have lived for infinite times. We've been everywhere. We have traveled to every point in the world. And because of that, that's our instinct, that we need to reproduce, that we need to keep our we need to keep us going. But in reality, that's just because we've made it a habit, not because it's necessary to do so. So what I thought were the ways of success or to get somewhere were Dhan, which is giving, donating, volunteering, anything of that sort. Shil, which is control of the mind and senses, which is chastity, not having passion, not having like a sensual urge to do something. Tapa, which is overcoming taste. So as Indians, we love everything spicy, all achar, everything. But in reality, that's just diluting what we truly need. And we don't truly need, our soul truly doesn't need food or tasty food. We just need to survive so that we can focus on Dharam. And the next thing is Dharam Bhav, which is having faith in teachings of Guru and Bhagwan. And so what we can learn from Sulibhadraji is that he overcame the hardest sense and he found success in the end. So my takeaway from the teachings of Samvar is by taking vrats to bring me closer to my true self. And so some vrats that I'm going to take is to not walk in grass at night. In nighttime, there's a lot of bugs, and if we're purposely walking in grass, then we're purposely killing those one jeev, those animals that are helpless and they can't do anything about the current state that they're in. The next one is to take a small pachkan, and so this is what I will be saying when I'm taking a pachkan. And then my also third one is making Dharam a priority. And so as I said before, the quote, Dharam is the last priority but always is the first casualty. So my goal is a little bit of time every day studying Dharam and do one samayik every week on my own. Since we learned samayik to do, since Nayanti and Rakesh Uncle taught us samayik in our previous year, so it was when the weeks that we don't have classes doing a little bit, and we shouldn't be thinking about doing it for Bhagwan, but doing it for ourselves, because we are truly helping ourselves in the end by doing all these things. Jai Jinendra.